Airports, a day of flights and waiting. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my story about airports. My name is James, and today I'm going to share with you an experience I had at an airport during a work trip. Airports are busy places, full of people, planes, and announcements. They're where journeys begin and end, and they can be exciting or stressful, depending on the day. This story is about a trip I took for my job, with check-ins, delays, and a few surprises along the way. I hope you enjoy listening to it. Let's get started. I work at Office Comfort Company, a company that sells office furniture like desks, chairs, and cabinets. I'm a sales assistant, and most of my work happens at the office, calling customers, typing orders, and sending emails. But last month, my manager, Miss Carter, gave me a new task. James, she said, we have a big client in Westfield, about 2 hours away by plane. They want to see our new desk designs. Can you fly there next week? I said yes. It was my first time flying for work, and I was excited to try it. The trip would be short, leaving Tuesday morning and returning Wednesday afternoon. The first thing I did was book my flight. Miss Carter said the company would pay for everything, plane tickets, and a hotel. I opened my laptop and went to an airline website. Westfield has a small airport, so there weren't many options. I found a flight leaving at 9 a.m. Tuesday from my city's airport, arriving at 11 a.m. The return was Wednesday at 3 p.m. The round-trip ticket cost $180. I entered my name, James Wilson, and the company card details. A confirmation email came with my ticket and a boarding pass I could print or save on my phone. I chose the phone option to keep it easy. Next, I booked a hotel near the client's office in Westfield. I picked Westfield Lodge, a simple place for $90 per night. I used the company card again and got a confirmation email saying, check in at 2 p.m. With travel sorted, I packed my bag Monday night. It was a short trip, so I kept it light, a suit for the meeting, casual clothes for the hotel, my laptop, a notebook, pens, and my phone charger. The weather forecast said Westfield would be sunny, 24 degrees Celsius, so I didn't need a jacket. I added a small bag with 2 desk samples for the client. By 9 p.m., I was ready. Tuesday morning started early. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to catch the 9 a.m. flight. The airport is 40 minutes from my house by taxi, and they say to arrive 2 hours early for check-in. I got dressed, ate a quick breakfast, toast and coffee, and checked my phone. The airline app said, flight on time. I grabbed my suitcase and samples, and a taxi picked me up at 6 a.m. The ride was quiet, dark streets, and a few cars. I arrived at the airport at 6:40 a.m., feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. The airport was big and bright, with signs everywhere, departures, arrivals, check-in. I walked to the check-in area for my airline. There were long lines of people with suitcases, some looking tired, others chatting. I found a counter with a sign that said Westfield Flight 305. A woman in a blue uniform stood there. I said, "Hi, I'm James Wilson, flying to Westfield at 9 a.m. She smiled and asked for my ID and ticket. I showed her my driver's license and the boarding pass on my phone. She typed on her computer and said, "Do you have bags to check?" I handed over my suitcase. It had my clothes and laptop. The samples stayed with me as a carry-on. She weighed my suitcase, 15 kilograms, under the 20-kilogram limit. "All good," she said. She printed a tag, put it on my bag, and gave me a paper boarding pass, even though I had it on my phone. Gate 12, boarding at 8:30 a.m., she told me. I thanked her and watched my suitcase roll away on the conveyor belt. It was 7 a.m., so I had time before boarding. I walked through the terminal, past shops selling coffee, books, and snacks. The air smelled like pastries, and I heard announcements overhead, Flight 210 to Easton, now boarding at Gate 5. Next was security. I joined a line with about 20 people. A sign said, remove laptops, liquids, and shoes. I put my sample bag in a tray, took out my phone, and slipped off my shoes. An officer waved me through a metal detector. It beeped once, but he said, "You're fine." On the other side, I grabbed my things and checked the time, 7:20 a.m. I found gate 12 and sat down. The waiting area had rows of chairs, a big window showing planes, and a screen that said, Flight 305 to Westfield, on time. I relaxed, watching people roll suitcases and kids run around. A few business travelers like me typed on laptops or talked on phones. At 8 a.m., I decided to get coffee. There was a small cafe near the gate. I ordered a black coffee and a muffin, $5 total. I sat back down and ate while checking my phone. The app still said on time, but at 8:15 a.m., an announcement came over the speakers, "Attention passengers for Flight 305 to Westfield. We're experiencing a slight delay due to weather. Boarding will now begin at 9 a.m. I looked outside. The clouds were gathering, and it looked windy. I sighed but figured a 30-minute delay wasn't bad. I texted Ms. Carter, "Flight delayed to 9:30 a.m., we'll update you." At 8:45 a.m., the gate agent spoke again, "Flight 305 to Westfield, boarding now at gate 12. I stood up, grabbed my bag, and joined the line. People moved slowly, showing boarding passes. When it was my turn, I showed my phone. The agent scanned it and said, "Seat 14B, enjoy your flight." I walked down a long tunnel to the plane, a small one with 2 seats on each side. I found 14B, a window seat, and stowed my samples under the seat in front of me. By 9:15 a.m., everyone was on board, and the doors closed. The pilot's voice came on, "Welcome to Flight 305 to Westfield. We're delayed due to wind, but we'll take off soon. Flight time is 2 hours." At 9:30 a.m., the plane rolled to the runway. I watched out the window as we sped up and lifted off. The clouds looked thick, but the ride was smooth. A flight attendant offered drinks. I took water. I spent the flight reviewing my notes for the client meeting, feeling ready. We landed in Westfield at 11:30 a.m., right on time after the delay. The airport there was smaller, with 1 terminal and a few gates. I got off the plane, picked up my suitcase at baggage claim, and took a taxi to Westfield Lodge. Check-in was quick. I arrived at noon, dropped my bags in room 105, and ate lunch at the hotel cafe, soup and a roll. My meeting was at 2 p.m., so I left at 1:30 p.m. with my samples. The client, Westfield Office Solutions, was 10 minutes away. The sun was out, just like the forecast said, and I made it on time. The meeting went well. Mr. Taylor, the manager, liked the desk samples and ordered 15. "Can you deliver next month?" he asked. I said yes and shook his hand. By 3:30 p.m., I was back at the hotel, happy with the day. I spent the evening relaxing, watching TV and eating dinner from a nearby restaurant. The flight back was the next day, so I checked my app, Wednesday, 3 p.m., on time. Wednesday morning, I woke up at 8 a.m., ate breakfast, eggs and coffee, and packed my suitcase. I checked out at 11 a.m. and took a taxi to the airport. Westfield's airport was quiet, fewer people than my city's. I arrived at 11:30 a.m. and went to check-in. The agent took my suitcase and said, "Gate 3, boarding at 2:30 p.m. I passed security, no beeps this time, and sat at Gate 3 by noon. The screen said on time, and the weather was clear, sunny and calm. At 1 p.m., I got lunch, a sandwich from a kiosk. While eating, an announcement came, Flight 305 to Central City, delayed to 4 p.m. due to maintenance. I groaned, another delay. I texted Ms. Carter, "Flight delayed to 4 p.m., back later." She replied, "No problem, safe trip." I waited, watching planes take off. At 3:30 p.m., they called boarding. I showed my pass, got on, and took seat 14B again. The pilot said, "Sorry for the delay, ready to go now." We took off at 4 p.m., and the flight was smooth, 2 hours of blue skies. I landed at 6 p.m., picked up my suitcase, and took a taxi home, arriving at 7 p.m. tired but glad to be back. I told Miss Carter the next day. The trip worked, 15 desks sold, despite delays. She said, "Great job, James. Airports can be tricky." I laughed. They sure can. That's my airport story. I hope you liked it. Airports are full of waiting, but they get you where you need to go. Have you flown somewhere lately? Thank you for listening, and see you next time.